Hi, I'm Caroline Mitchell, Canine Behaviourist at Good Doggy. Today I want to talk a little bit about dog behaviour and in particular dog behaviour that's relevant to you if you are a pet photographer. Taking photographs of dogs is not easy at the best of times, but if you can understand a little bit about their behaviour, you can make the experience better for you, but also experience better for the dog, which is ultimately the most important thing. And you can make the experience better for their owner as well. I would always recommend starting with a consultation with the dog and the family. If that's going to be in your studio or in their own home or wherever it is, try to make sure that you've got as much of your stuff there as possible. The reason I suggest starting like this is because you don't know what the dog has experienced, what they've seen, what make them afraid, what might make them overexcited. So bringing all your stuff with you gives you just a little idea of how your dog is going to react to it all. And as a part of this consultation, then you can start to discuss possible training plans, desensitization plans, and things like that. It will also really help you to get to know the dog in advance of your session. Getting really nice pictures of dogs means getting to know them a little bit, finding out what their owner really wants to see in them. I've seen some stunning pictures of dogs, but they weren't quite what the owner was looking for. They wanted to see more of their dog's personality, but they were posed beautifully and they were great pictures. So this is an opportunity, this initial consultation, to kind of figure out exactly what you want and what you can and can't offer. Maybe you can't offer them the pictures that they really want, and this will save you a huge amount of time in the long run, because you'll not be making pictures that are not going to meet their expectations. It's a good opportunity to show them some pictures you've taken in the past. Again, this will help manage the expectations of your client. They'll be able to see the style of pictures that you usually produce, and hopefully they'll be able to see their dog in those, and they'll be able to let you know that that is exactly what they want, or they'll figure out that actually that wasn't what they were expecting at all. And then at this point, you haven't lost anything. You've not taken lots of pictures, and you can make an alternative plan. But assuming everything's fine, use this time to find out what kind of picture they are going to want and what kind of training might be needed for that. If you want your dog to be running towards the camera, then you'll need that dog to learn possibly a good recall. If you want them to pose in certain ways, then they'll need to perhaps learn those. And you'll be able to learn what kind of toys and treats and rewards and stuff like that might be applicable to this dog. What kind of things are they going to respond to in the studio or wherever you are taking your photographs? And how are you going to get those shots that you really, really want? I'm just going to talk a little bit about the studio, because if you're doing shots in a studio, it's important to know that dogs respond a lot to smells. So if you do a lot of studio shots, one really important tip for you is to clean your studio thoroughly after each animal has been in there. Dogs can pick up scent for a long time. Very much, even an inexperienced dog that doesn't use their nose very much will be able to pick up dog scents for quite a few days. And very skilled dogs will be able to pick up smells for longer than that. Scent is spread by glands in the feet. So don't think that just because the dog didn't pee on anything or brush on anything that their scent won't be all over your studio. This is why dogs scrape their feet after they've been to the toilet, because they want to spread the scent glands. It's not because they're trying to kick scent away from them. It's because the scent glands on their feet are spreading that scent out. And every step they take in your studio, everywhere they walk, everywhere they stand, they will be leaving their scent on that. They'll also be leaving scent trails in the air. So for the next dog that comes into your studio, you don't want them to be distracted by all of those scents. They might not even be distracted. They might be intimidated. It could make them quite anxious. So getting rid of all of those scents from one day to the next is really, really important. As I said, we want to get them to kind of see what's in your studio, all the equipment that you use. Many dogs may not have seen any of this stuff, so have it set up and set it up in advance, because some dogs are very anxious about certain types of movements. So, for example, opening an umbrella could frighten a dog. So have all that kind of stuff set up well in advance. The last thing you want to do is bring your dog in for their studio session and you go to put up your light umbrella and it freaks them out, and then you've lost them for the whole rest of the day. Have all this kind of stuff set up in advance. And in your studio, include lots of things for them to explore and interact with, things that they can climb on, so that you can see that natural behaviour in that dog. You'll hopefully, after a few minutes, start to get an idea of what kind of things they really like to go on, and you can start trying to push them towards those items. You can use your rewards. Hopefully you've established in your consultation what kind of toys and treats and things like that they really like, so you can encourage them towards certain things. But it's about encouraging that natural behaviour. It's not trying to create new behaviours in dogs. Most people don't want to see their dog do something brand new. They want to see them do the same goofy things that they've always done. So this may lead you to do shots at home. Sometimes people want to see nice sleepy shots of their dog, or they want to see them just in their bed or in certain positions in the house. And this is fine, but be aware that when you enter the dog's territory, that they may be very excitable about that, or they may be quite territorial, and that could trigger an emotional reaction. We don't want emotional dogs when you're trying to take photographs. It's better when they're calm. They are more likely to listen to their owner. They are less likely to react to things in odd ways. So when your dog is showing extreme kinds of behaviour, whether they're just very excited or they're feeling a bit defensive of their home, then your job is just to try and calm that situation down as best as possible. You're not really there to help them fix this problem. This problem has happened before, but that's the owner's jurisdiction to fix that. But what you can do to help is to kind of slow yourself down, move slowly, change the tone of your voice a little bit so it's less excitable. If you have quite a high-pitched voice, then just toning that down a little bit can be really helpful. And if you need to, just stop moving altogether. Just stand really still. So if I enter a home where a dog is particularly territorial, and they don't want me in there, they're being quite defensive in their behaviour, when I stand still and look away and don't move, don't talk, then that can really help to de-escalate that. So explain to the owner that's what you're doing. Tell them you're trying to let your dog calm down. We don't want them to be feeling emotional or scared of you. And just let that situation de-escalate. So take extra time if you're going to come into somebody's home to do the shots. Those sleepy kind of shoots, end of life shoots, they will take a little bit of extra time as well. So even on the best day, if the dog is quite excited to see you, we need to get them from a level of excitement all the way down to the point of being sleepy. So make sure you leave plenty of time for that, because you can't make a dog be sleepy. You can't make them go to bed and actually sleep while they're excited. So emotions are everything here. Regardless of whether their emotion is because they're angry or because they're excited, it's going to get in the way of those really nice shots that you're there to take. So explain this to the owner. Make sure you've booked lots of time with them to make sure that nobody's feeling under any kind of pressure to get these shots, and to make sure that there's time for them to calm right down past the point of just being normally calm, right down into that kind of sleepy mood. You might want to take the dog out on location. If a dog is particularly active and sporty and they love to run around, and the owner loves to see those big flappy ears and that running and all that kind of stuff, or maybe they like to see them on the beach or whatever, then you'll want to be taking them out onto location. Unless you have somewhere that you know that's very, very secure, then you're going to have things to contend with. Like, for example, the dog might need a really, really good recall, because they're not going to be secured in a fence or a gardened area. They're going to be loose in a park. So if you want them to do running shots to you and you don't want to have to do too much taking off leads and things like that, then a recall is going to be really, really important for you. Also, dogs behave differently outside to what they do in the home. So different things will distract them when they're out for a walk. There are smells there. And we talked about smells when we were talking about the studio. Those smells will be not just from other dogs or people, could be other kinds of animals, could be leftover food. Anything can happen when you're outside in your public place on location. So discuss those kinds of training needs with your client to make sure that their dog is ready that they will be able to ignore most of that stuff, and that they can do those really good running shots towards you. They can do those poses without getting too distracted by everything around them. Try to choose places that are quiet as well, because the least amount of distractions, even on the best day, the best behaved dog is still a dog, and it doesn't always have to go perfectly. But building that into a kind of a pre-session training with your client, so they know exactly what they need to achieve by the time you come back, will be really, really important. So while you're doing your shoot with the dog, the important thing is to be able to recognize when tensions might be rising, when your dog has had too much, if they need a break, things like that. So there are some less obvious signs that tensions are rising, or they're getting too emotional. Again, it's all about the scale of emotions, if you think about that scale, 0 being at the bottom, anything above that, the emotions will start to grow. So at the kind of lower end, we've got the body maybe become quite stiff. Perhaps the dog starts to stare at things. Maybe they're staring at you. Their speed will change. Perhaps they're licking their lips a lot. All of these are signs that they're starting to become emotional. Something is starting to affect their behavior. It could be anxiety, it could be excitement, it could be fear, they could be getting frustrated. But these are the early warning signs. If you can stop these, then they haven't gone too far along that emotional scale. So just stop, let them relax, let them have a little play, let them have a little nap, whatever it is that they need to settle. And it won't take very long for them to come back. The further up the scale they go, the longer it's going to take to get them back to that kind of level 0 again. Or maybe you're looking to go for those sleepy shots and you need them in a minus figure when it comes to emotion. But if you've missed those early signs, those subtle signs, then those get bigger. So that change of speed will become more obvious. Maybe now they're starting to bark. They're trying to hide, perhaps. Maybe they've actually it feels like they've completely switched off. This is a really good sign that they've become really overwhelmed and they're getting very close to going over threshold. Once they're over threshold, nothing will happen for them. They are considering their own needs above everybody else. They're not listening to normal commands. They will become over distracted by something. So maybe the presence of something that scares them will become so overwhelmed that that's the only thing that exists now. As they've gone up the scale, there will be times when you'll be able to still ask them to do things and they will respond. They'll respond to their name. Well-known commands they'll be able to respond to. But as that fear grows and they go further up that scale, there will come a time when all of that will stop and all they can think about is the object that's scaring them. You've lost them at this point, so at this point, the dog will probably be hiding. They will be very loud. They will maybe be lunging. They'll be running fast, exaggerated movements, perhaps. Maybe they're showing aggression. So once you've got to this point, the thing is to stop and to try and reschedule for another day. Never ignore a dog that is trying to get you to leave them alone. I don't know how many times I have heard of people, seen people with my own eyes getting bitten by a dog that is trying to back away. They're trying to hide. They're trying to remove themselves from you. And the person is going towards them with the treat. And you'll know this person because they say things like, oh, dogs love me. And, don't be scared of me. They'll be coming towards the dog. The dog is communicating with you. If that dog is backing away from you, they're saying, don't come any closer to me. You're scaring me. Going towards them with a treat or anything like that is never, ever going to help that situation. When they back away from you, you mirror that. You back away from them. Give them more space. Respect that they've asked for space. You're not going to fix the dog by trying to get them to go into a certain place. Once they've started to go up this emotional scale, the only thing left for them when they feel like they're not being listened to is to make themselves more obvious. So we can see as they escalate up the scale, the behaviours get bigger and more obvious and less hard to ignore. So we start with the stiffness and the staring and a slight change of speed. That's the less obvious ones. Then we go to barking, lunging, hiding, trying to pull away. And when that gets ignored, then we go further up the scale, and eventually we end up with stuff that we really can't ignore, and that is growling and snapping and biting. So know the scale is there. The further you get away from 0, the bigger the behavior becomes, the more obvious they're trying to make it that something has gone wrong, the more likely you're going to push them further up the scale if you don't de-escalate. So keep an eye out for that, and also make your owner aware of these signals, because even though people know their dogs really well, often a lot of people don't realise that these signals are there for your dog to communicate that something has gone wrong. So make your owner and your family aware that these are signals to look out for, and make it easy for them to say stop when we need to stop. So when you're taking photographs and you're looking down your lens, you might not notice these things, but other people are there. Let them advocate for the dog, encourage them to do so. Because the sooner you catch these signals, the sooner everyone stops and takes a break, then we can get back on with it. But once you've gone past that threshold, once the dog has become defensive, you really have to just stop and come back another day after you've made a bit of a plan to try and avoid this from happening in the future. So you might be asked to photograph nervous dogs. So these dogs are already nervous before they've even come to you. It's important to note that these dogs are made nervous by all kinds of things. So fabrics and textiles can absorb sound. Sound is a big problem for a lot of dogs. Some of your equipment will make noises. The flashlight will make a noise. The trigger on your camera will make a noise. There'll be echoes if you're in your studio. Those things can all make noises. So let's have lots of fabrics and textiles in there that can absorb those noises. The stuff that we can't absorb and they can't avoid, then we need to figure out how to desensitize the dog to these noises. So obviously making them a little bit quieter can help. Maybe some sessions need to be done in your studio with your flashlight going off. We can set them up so you can try to start desensitizing them to that noise. So this is the kind of stuff you would figure out in those early consultations. How do we work around these noises? How do we make sure these noises aren't scaring the dog? Because you're not going to get great pictures if every time you press the trigger on your camera and the trigger makes a noise and it scares your dog and makes them want to run away. Things that dogs can be nervous of. Obviously, there's a lot of equipment they won't have seen before. So in your consultation, you're going to figure out what equipment you're going to be bringing that is not, that your dog is going to be afraid of. Dogs frequently can be quite nervous of men, certainly a lot more than women. And I don't think this is anything that in particular men do or women do. It's just, it is what it is. Just in my experience, if I have a dog that's afraid of people, I could safely say that 95% of the time they will be more afraid of men than women. And most of the time they will not be afraid of women at all. And it's just men. Men are taller. Men have a different tone of voice. Men smell different to women. They have different hormones, which makes them feel different to dogs. Regardless of the reason why, if you're a male photographer, then this is important for you to try and befriend this dog. But as I've already said, don't try to go to a dog that's trying to get away from you. But during your early consultation, you can spend a lot of time sitting with the dog. You can give them some treats. And I would suggest bringing something with you to that consultation. If it's going to be at their house, bring like a little blanket or a toy or something like that, and some treats as well that you can put your scent on, that you can leave behind once you've gone. So this will help build up a little bit of familiarity. So when they see you again next time, you're not going to feel like a stranger they're meeting again for the first time. That smell, whether they remember who you are specifically or not, I'm not sure, but they will certainly feel like it's a familiar smell, something they've smelled before, and it's not something they're going to associate with feeling anxious or scared or anything like that. So those kinds of things can be really useful. But when you're with the dog, let them come to you. Curiosity is a brilliant thing. Just the other day, I was with a dog that hated strangers, that every single stranger that had come anywhere near that dog, he had been very reactive to and had tried to bite on a few occasions. So before I even arrived at the house, I knew that this dog potentially might want to bite me. But just by ignoring him and not looking at him and just sitting quietly and chatting very soothingly to his owner, not making any fast movements and things like that, within very, very short period of time, ridiculously short, the dog had become really curious and was coming to me and was on the sofa beside me. And they weren't being aggressive. They were being curious. They were checking me out. They were interested. And that dog had never done that before with new people, because everybody just wanted to try and be his friend. Everybody wanted to try and help him. And as soon as they came in the house, they could see he was anxious and they're putting their hands out to him. They're trying to give him treats. And it was just making it worse and worse and worse. Finally, somebody had come into this dog's house that wasn't interested in him. And he was really curious about that. And we made friends. And you could see this when we took this dog out for a walk in the park. You know, people in the park that don't even know the dog would try and feed him a treat. And as soon as he would back off, they would go closer to him and try to force the treat into his face almost, just to say, you know, you don't have to be afraid of me, but you're doing things that the dog finds scary. So it doesn't make any sense. So what I'm saying is, be calm, let the dog come to you, let that curiosity happen, keep your focus onto the family, keep your tone low so the dog can become curious of you. And that fear of men, certainly at least for you, will start to improve. Once you start taking photographs of him as well, expect that he might become anxious. So again, moving very slowly when you bring your camera up for the first time, when you put it in front of your face. It might not be a camera your dog's seen before. These days, more people have cameras in their phones than they actually have cameras. So it's not something your dog may have been familiar with. Maybe he has, but something to take into consideration, that rather than having a phone take a photograph of him where we hold it kind of out in front of us and we can see the image of the dog at arm's length and the dog is away from us, now the camera is going to come right up in front of your face and it's going to block a part of your face. It's going to feel like this really big eye looking straight at them. So take your time as you move and do these things, because being slow makes you look more predictable. The more predictable you are, the more your dog will be confident with you and will trust you and will not be afraid. The less predictable you are, the faster you move, the faster your dog moves, the faster they go up that scale of emotion. If your dog is very, very anxious about the movements of the camera and the equipment and everything else, you might want to schedule some sort of non-photo sessions in advance. Maybe you'll start using a phone just to build confidence with the dog while you're trying to get them into different poses and you're snapping away before you actually bring the main camera up, if that's a really big problem. So going slow might not be enough. You might need to schedule some pre-sessions and just introduce one thing at a time then. So initially it's all about the poses. Then it can be about changing from a camera phone to a proper DSLR or whatever camera you're using. Maybe the zoom is too big, so maybe you start with just a small lens and you change that to a longer lens later on, and things. So gradually increasing the experience for these very, very nervous dogs, adding just one step at a time, building up their confidence until you finally get to your main big shoot. And maybe you want to get some really nice shots outside, but outside is too much at the moment. So maybe you try these in the owner's home. And then once they're good at it there, you can transfer the whole session out and you can go for your real session and your real photographs out and about on location. But if you have a very anxious dog and the owners are very committed to this, then do take that time with them, because you'll get some amazing shots once you get going. So here's some interesting things to expect from your shoots. Probably if you've done pet photography, you might already be familiar with most of these. But maybe there'll be a few here that might surprise you if you're not experienced as a pet photographer, or maybe you've just been very lucky in the past. So one thing that you can expect is your dog will probably pee on stuff. So if you are in your studio, expect stuff to get peed on. Make sure you've got plenty of cleaning products to hand. Let your owners know that this is normal, because owners will be so embarrassed when their dog pees in your studio. But they need to know that this is very normal, that lots of dogs have done it. People always tell me that they can't take their dog into places like Pets at Home and stuff like that because they're afraid that their dog might pee on the floor. Pets at Home clean out pee all day long. This is not new to them. There's no reason to be embarrassed about this, but your owners don't know what's normal. So keep that normal. Keep them aware and in the loop about what to expect as well. Something to expect is that emotions drive behaviour. and not training. So it doesn't matter how much time your dog has spent learning a good recall or to pose in a certain way. If they are emotional, that is, if they are excited or angry or territorial or afraid or frustrated or any of those things, that emotion is more important than the training that they've had. So they won't be able to do those poses that they have practiced to death before they came, because the emotion will stop them from doing that. So you need to let the emotion go back to zero again. And I think that if you take nothing away from this video other than one thing, that is it. Emotions drive behavior. And if you can have a calm dog at level 0, then you're going to get the best out of your sessions. Again, this doesn't necessarily have to be news to you, but you need to explain this to your owner, because your owner will start to get very frustrated. They will, they've done a lot of training. They've got their dog to sit in a certain position, and they've practiced it over and over and over again. And now all of a sudden they can't do it. The owner's frustration will start to grow. The dog's frustration will then start to change, because he's picking up on these emotions, and the situation will soon get out of hand. So not just for you to know that this is unusual, it's important to pass this on to your owner, to your family, so that they know that when your dog is not doing the thing that they're supposed to be doing, it's not because they're naughty, it's just because they're emotional. And all we have to do is just wait for them to come back to that level 0, come back to calm again, and the training will kick back in again. Curious dogs make really, really good photos. Dogs that are sniffing for things, dogs that are looking for things, looking at your camera, exploring, any kind of sort of searching activities are great photos, and dogs love to explore and they love to be curious about things. So one thing that you should expect is that your dog will want to explore their environment. And if this is not something you want to take photographs of, you still need to expect that they're going to want to do this. They're going to want to sniff everything that's in there. They're going to want to sniff everything that's in your studio or on location. If they're in their own home, it will just be your stuff that they'll want to sniff, but they are going to want to sniff. So make sure you've allowed time to allow them to explore the stuff around them, all the new things. But do have your camera ready for it, because you can get some really, really great shots of dogs just exploring and checking out new stuff. Something you need to prepare for is that you will need more treats or rewards than you imagine. So make sure your families are prepared and they've brought tons and tons of backup treats and rewards. Whether they're using a clicker, make sure they've got spares. If they're using treats, make sure they've got twice as many as what they think they need. You're going to go through these super, super fast. Perhaps pre-warn your owner as well that this is going to be the case, and try to encourage them to not feed their dog before they come out on the shoot, so that they are hungry, or at least give them a very light meal before they come, so that they're not feeling with a full up belly and you're trying to get them to take even more treats. Your shoot will end really, really fast if you're relying on treats and your dog has a full belly and doesn't want any more. So make sure you bring plenty of treats and rewards, and extra, because you're going to go through them super fast. Once your dog has arrived, start watching their behaviour, see what is normal for them, what do they like to do, and see if you can find some extra candid shots as well in that. I say they're very curious, so be ready for that. And have plenty of treats and things like that around that you can hide in different places. If you start to see really fun behaviours starting to develop that you want to get into, take shots of, then you can start to watch where they go in, and you'll know where to start hiding treats. A very important thing to remember about dogs as well is that most dogs are best mid-morning. They are between naps, they're between meals, so they're not feeling particularly full up from their food. They're not feeling like they need a nap. They're feeling quite refreshed. They haven't gone towards needing a nap yet. This is a good time for dogs. They will be most open to new things. If you're going to try and train them to do something new in that session, maybe you come up with an idea quickly during the session and you want to try it, they're going to be much more open to new ideas. They're going to want to follow the treat. They're going to want to please you. As the day goes on, they are more likely to become overwhelmed by things. When their needs start to kick in, if they start to get hungry, if they start to get tired, if they start to get thirsty, again, make sure there's plenty of water on your shoot. Or maybe they are just tired. This is a lot of work for a dog sometimes when they're being asked to do lots of things, and they're in a strange environment, strange things are happening around them. This is mentally very exhausting. So the longer this goes on, the longer into the day you go, the more likely they are to be grumpier, and the harder it might be for you to get the perfect shots that you're looking for. So if you can, try to schedule around mid-morning. This isn't always possible, but you're going to get probably the best out of your dog at this time. And also, if you're outside, you're going to get some good light as well. So 2 reasons to schedule for that kind of mid-morning time if you can. And finally, just want to talk a little bit about managing the owner. We've gone through a few things already. Telling them what to expect is really, really important. Owners get stressed out when they don't think things are going well, when they think their dog maybe is doing something they shouldn't be doing. Their expectations are their dog is going to be as good as they are at home when there's nobody around for the training. Their expectations are that their dog's going to behave perfectly. But we know that this isn't going to happen. They get impatient and they get self-conscious. So we need to make sure that through the whole of the session, managing that owner, managing their expectations, reassuring them that things do take much longer than they think. I know when I work with families and we do certain types of training, to them, time moves so quickly, Maybe we're trying to get the dog to sit down while we answer the front door, and it's taken maybe a minute, but to them it felt like a lifetime. When you're standing there in your studio and you're trying to get the dog to sit in that perfect way, if it takes more than 10 seconds, the owner will already start to be getting impatient because they think they should be able to do it already. But actually, to them, this has taken forever. It's only been a few seconds. So it's about kind of helping them to calm down and relax and know what's normal and what isn't normal. Be reassuring about how long things take, and also tell them that they're doing great. The dog is fantastic. They look fantastic in your camera, and that the shots are going to come. It doesn't take very long to get a camera full of shots. So it's all about just reassuring them. But beforehand, use that consultation time to let them know what is normal, what to expect, so that when they do come to the shoot, the owner's frustration is reduced. Again, this will impact on the dog's emotional behaviour too. And we know that emotion changes behaviour. So once this has all started to escalate, it's not long before it gets completely out of hand and you end up having to reshoot. And if you do have to reshoot, then do it, because, if the dog is, for whatever reason, not on good form that day, maybe they're not well, maybe they skipped their breakfast, who knows, whatever it could be, they might just not be in their best kind of way today. If you can't do anything with that, just don't. Just plan this into your diary that occasionally you just might have to reschedule. Don't try and plod on, because that frustration, that tension, dogs only have a certain amount of willpower, just like us. Once this ran out, you really are going to be working 10 times as hard for half the benefit. So cancel the shoot and restart it another day. Just making a plan to make sure that whatever it was that went wrong this time won't go wrong next time. So I hope there's been some great tips there for dog photographers about dog behaviour. The bottom line is, keep those emotions low, try to keep the dog calm, and you can do that with your own behaviour and the owner's behaviour, and manage those expectations, and you'll have a great shoot. Thanks for watching. Speak to you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.